The podcast with Soul. What's up, YouTube? This is an hour, man. And this guy, I saw him up at the courthouse. I didn't know who he was, right? Then I seen him on somebody's show, and they was kind of big time. And I really like what he was talking about. He's trying to stay 100% biased type thing. And I like to hear what he got to say because I want to make sure I'm not being biased myself and just saying, did he need to go to jail? Because I can't get that video out of my mind that he apologized for because he knew he was wrong. And how many times he done, it's like how many times he done did something to this girl. And rest in peace to Kim Porter. Where my book at? I don't know where my book at. Anyway, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Oops, my bad. I've been reading the comments. No more echo. Let's check this bad boy out, man. Here we go.
Check Sean GL. We live. We live. Check Sean GL, y'all.
We live. We live.
Check Sean GL. Share this live. Share this live.
Share this live. We live.
There you go. Akash. Ram just sing first in line. Filled with gratitude. King Eric, the genie. Killer Rob, Deuce Cigarillo. Nurse Bay, what's up? J Cash. PRB LAQ. Owen Johnson, Sepia Prince. Alright, so look. Shout out to everybody. I gotta shout out my Cash App, cause some people hit me with the Cash App joint on the last joint. I gotta shout them out. MD Johnson, Mikhail, Coffee and the Train Fare, Big Bro, Ilya Davis, Robert Williams, Dexter Carl, Brian Hudson, Charles Martin. All right, so look, yo, this is what I've been waiting for. You gotta share this video and everybody gotta give it a thumbs up. Hit that screen 2 times. Pap, pap, get a video a thumbs up or hit the like button. Share this video with somebody you know that's following the Puffy trial too. All right, so they got finished with the dude from Homeland Security. Follow Sean G on Instagram at the podcast with Soul, and then follow Sean G on Spotify, the podcast with Soul. Check me out. Alexandra Shapiro, which is one of Puffy's lawyers, took center stage. She took center stage. Eb Sidbury, what's up, Ebony? Puffy got up in court and spoke in court, like said a lot of words. And when Puffy got up in court and spoke, everybody in the overflow was full. I'm on the 24th floor on the overflow. Yo, when Puffy got up and spoke, because they did something called allocution. Hold on, let me get it right. I got my notes.
Got my notes,
so
baby.
There was something that was called allocution, right? This was done after Alexandra Shapiro presented her case for a Rule 29 motion, which is that the federal prosecutors have failed to produce enough evidence to warrant a prosecution. beyond a reasonable doubt. Puffy's defense team filed a Rule 29 motion. In a Rule 29 motion, based on Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 29 is a motion for judgment of acquittal. So the prosecution rested. They didn't say everything they didn't have to say. They didn't put on all of the liars, all of the government witnesses, all the liars they presented that misrepresented facts, that committed perjury. They done doing that. A Rule 29 motion based on Federal Rule Criminal Procedure 29 is a motion for a judgment of acquittal in a federal criminal trial. It's essentially a request for the judge to dismiss the case because the prosecution's evidence is insufficient to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. This motion can be made by the defendant at the close of the prosecution's evidence, at the close of all the evidence, or even after a jury verdict. A judge can either grant the motion, acquitting the defendant, or deny it. The judge's decision is based on whether a reasonable jury could find the defendant guilty based on the evidence presented. If a Rule 29 motion is granted, it's like winning a not guilty verdict, and the prosecution generally cannot retry the case. Hands down, hands down. I've been in the courtroom every day on the 24th floor, except maybe 3 days.
Okay. That's cool. That's still cool.
There is reasonable doubt all over this case. There's reasonable doubt everywhere. There's reasonable doubt everywhere. Who is that right there? The original Sister C. The original Sister C. The core function of a Rule 29 motion is to challenge the legal sufficiency of the evidence presented by the prosecution. This motion can be made by the defendant at the close of the prosecution's evidence. It is essentially a request for the judge to dismiss the case because the prosecution's evidence is insufficient to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. That's it. That's it. The prosecution has not presented no clear-cut evidence that moves none of their witnesses, none of their evidence, none of the witness testimony moves this case beyond a reasonable doubt. There is reasonable doubt everywhere, all over this case. Judge Submaranian, if he's following the letter of the law. Now, this is subjective. This is subjective. Obviously, it's going to be his decision as the judge, you understand? But me, you understand, keeping it all the way live, as I've shared on my channel, the prosecution has failed, and they failed miserably to prove guilt beyond reasonable doubt. And the burden of proof is on the government to prove guilt. It is not on Puffy to prove that he's not guilty. He's already innocent. So, Alexandra Shapiro, she got up and she argued for the Rule 29 motion. Now, after Alexandra Shapiro got finished, they had to do something called allocution of the defendant. And what that meant was that an allocution was for Puffy to tell the court that he wasn't going to testify. He was either going to tell them, I'm going to testify on my behalf, or I'm not going to testify on my behalf. So the judge said, yo, Mark Agnifilo, did you talk to your client about allocution? He said, yeah. But Mark said, yo, give me 30 seconds to talk to him again. So Mark Agnifilo, he leaned over and he talked to Puffy. Puffy had on like this rust color sweater, like an orange, reddish kind of sweater. And Mark said, yeah, Honor, he understands. So the judge asked Puffy to stand up. The judge and Puffy begin to have a conversation. This is the first time anybody has heard Puffy's voice in this trial other than voice notes from long time ago. Everybody in the overflow, when Puffy stood up to speak, when I heard his voice and when everybody heard his voice, motherfuckers was like this. Everybody was standing up, sitting up in their chair, just listening.
Right.
Because when you heard his voice, you heard songs like More Money, More Problems, Victory, all the songs he on. You said, yo, this is the voice. And he stood up, he told the judge, he said, Judge, I think you're doing a great job. Right? Dang. The judge said, thank you. And the judge was like, do you understand that Fila Speaks, thank you for that super chat. Your suspenders ain't as nice as these. Do you understand that you could testify on your behalf, but you don't have to testify? He said, yeah, I understood. And then Puffy said, I ain't testifying on my behalf. Then the judge said, is that your decision, or is you making that decision freely and voluntarily? Puffy said, yeah. The judge started to talk, but Puffy said, hold up. It's my decision, but with the help of my counsel. And the judge said, okay, so is it your decision? Puffy said, yeah, it's my decision. The judge said, do you make that freely and voluntarily? He said, yes. But they had a little conversation, and it was a trip to hear this nigga talk. It was a trip to hear Puffy talk. And everybody in the overflow was sitting up on their chair like a Doberman pinscher in the front seat. They were sitting up in their chair. And it was like, oh snap, this is Puffy. Oh snap. Because I got lost in the evidence, the testimony, you know, and then you hear Puffy stand up and it's like, oh snap, this Puff, man. Everybody was paying attention, man. Everybody, man. And don't let him tell you no different. And the overflow was packed. The overflow was packed.
Don't let him tell you no different.
Everybody was sitting up when Puffy stood up. And even the judge, when the judge heard his voice, right? The judge, he even, goddamn, his vibration went up, his temperature went up, and he started laughing, and he got more bass in his voice. Cause even to the judge probably was like, oh snap, this is Puff. I was probably listening to his song this morning. You understand?
Oh no, go ahead.
But anyway,
go
let's
ahead.
get back to the Rule 29 and Alexandra Shapiro's fantastic job. So, Alexandra Shapiro, she argued that the judge should rule in favor of a motion 29 and acquit Puffy tonight. He should rule on this motion and acquit a Puffy tonight because the federal prosecution has not presented a strong enough case to move this case beyond a reasonable doubt. Alexandra Shapiro distinguished between two separate conspiracies, one for Cassie and one for Jane Doe. And that she expressed that the government in their evidence has not been able to distinguish Puffy's personal life from this so-called conspiracy, right? And as I noted earlier, in the motion for the jury instructions earlier today, the statute of limitations on Cassie's joint ran out in 2019. He wasn't even dealing with her no more after that. He wasn't even dealing with Cassie no more. But then that's why they needed Jane Doe, to bring Jane Doe into the mix to rehabilitate and revive Cassie's joint. Now, next she went to the bribery joint. She went to the bribery piece. The California Penal Code has to offer a person about to give material information to law enforcement. In order for it to be bribery, Edward Garcia and those security guards at that hotel at the Intercontinental that he gave 100 grand to for the video, that was between them. That was between Puffy, Cassie, and these security guards. No law enforcement was involved yet. So if no law enforcement is involved, it can't be bribery. It can't be bribery. It can't be bribery. It can't be bribery. Alexandra Shapiro says you also have to act with corrupt intent. And their intent, and Cassie was involved in this too, because Cassie made Puffy put her on FaceTime.
Hold up, y'all. I think I missed something. So you saying that
enforcement was involved yet?
Wait, watch
so
this.
If no law enforcement is involved, it can't be bribery.
If no law enforcement was involved, I gotta look that one up. I'm gonna research that and get back to y'all on that one. So bribery. I was being bribed. Okay. I looked that up. I'm sorry. Can't be bribery. This show is funny how everybody. Never mind. Pump your brakes, Uncle Mike.
Alexandra Shapiro says you also have to act with corrupt intent. And their intent, and Cassie was involved in this too, because Cassie made Puffy put her on FaceTime with Edward Garcia, and Cassie told Edward Garcia before Puffy gave him the cheese that, yo, I got a movie coming out. This tape cannot get out. There was no police involvement. Cassie never wrote a report on the domestic violence, the assault, when Puffy assaulted her, because he did. Yes, he did. ENY318. ENY318, thank you for your channel membership. When Puffy assaulted Cassie, because he did, she didn't call 5-0. She did no police report, nothing. So, the fact that they only wanted 50 grand. He kicked them an extra 50 just on the strength. He kicked them an extra 50 on the strength, said, yo, take that. Gave him 100 grand. There was no police involved. The money was for the video for Edward Garcia. Puffy also made Edward Garcia sign a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA. And in that non-disclosure agreement, there's language in there that says, if law enforcement contacts you about this non-disclosure agreement and what this entails, you must comply with law enforcement over and above not disclosing what me and you did, right? Alexandra Shapiro said that the prosecution failed to prove probable cause in court when this issue was brought up. This being the case, the bribery piece must get thrown out. The next charge in the RICO was the obstruction and the witness tampering. In order for it to be obstruction and witness tampering, it has to be corrupt persuasion, and the defendant must knowingly obstruct a federal offense. She first talked about Mia. In Mia's case, there's no evidence to support obstruction. The government brought up the text message between Mia and D-Rock, November 2023, where D-Rock texts Mia, and Mia texts him back that, "I'm so excited to hear from you. I missed you so fucking much." There was no threats by D-Rock, and D-Rock told Mia, "Puffy wants to talk to you." Puffy called Mia. Mia never answered the phone. Puffy texts Mia, "Listen, I want to talk to you for 10 minutes because it's been a long time. You were my right-hand man, and I need you to confirm for me who was around us during this time." Also, Puffy must have been aware that there was a federal investigation ongoing. And at this point, Ms. Shapiro states that Puffy didn't know there was a federal investigation going on. So Mia's obstruction of justice and witness tampering must be thrown out. Jane Doe. A text after Cassie dropped her lawsuit, Jane Doe changed up everything. Alexandra Shapiro mentions that there was no corrupt persuasion and there was no threats in any of the conversations that Puffy had with Jane Doe after Cassie dropped her lawsuit. So the obstruction and witness tampering piece of the RICO must get thrown out. The bribery piece of the RICO must get thrown out. Next, during the witness tampering, Puffy is texting Jane Doe saying, "Yo, I need your support. I need you to be there for me." He called Jane Doe, "I need your friendship. You ain't got to worry about nothing else. You already know." That is not corrupt persuasion, and there is no nexus. Forced labor, the forced labor part of the RICO. Forced labor. Alexandra Shapiro says that in order for it to be forced labor, Puffy knowingly had to engage in an act to keep his employees to remain in his employ by the use of force, threat, or whatever. But, she gave an excellent analogy to a true description of what forced labor is. Alexandra Shapiro said that there was a case when some Chinese immigrants came to the United States, and when they got here, they reported to a job site, and the owner of the job site took their passports, took the Chinese passports, made them stay in a dormitory, and took their passports so that they couldn't leave. That's forced labor, right? That's the threat. Mia, right? She talked about Capricorn Clark. She talked about Mia, Cassie, and Jane Doe. They were all American citizens. They could left whenever they want. Mia, when she got fired, she was so distraught, she was gonna take her own life. That's how much she loved working for Puff. Capricorn Clark, you could have left. You could have left. But you, after you got fired, you kept trying to come back to work for Puff. So there is no forced labor, right? And Alexandra Shapiro says is way different for intent of immigrants with their passports taken, poor living conditions, violates the 13th Amendment, restrictive movement, and can't leave their employer if they wanted to. This does not apply. If you don't want to work here, you could quit. Puffy used to fire them all the time. You fired. Then they come back. If you want to quit, quit. Alexandra Shapiro says that Capricorn Clark, Cassie, Mia, and Jane were U.S. citizens, and they were well educated. Some of them had college degrees, so they could not be forced. Capricorn Clark kept working for Puff even after the lie detector test, and she always wanted to keep her job. Mia worked long hours, no sleep, supposedly assaulted by Puff. She could have left at any time, but she didn't want to leave Puff. She wanted to come back and work for Puff. And what Alexandra Shapiro did as far as Cassie and Jane Doe is that the prosecution was trying to tie in their forced labor with the SEX trafficking piece. And she came back after that. Hold up a second. The next case, the next predicate under the RICO that Alexandra Shapiro attacked was the kidnapping joint. Was the kidnapping. Capricorn Clark, with her lying ass, right, said that for 5 days straight, and Alexandra Shapiro kept adding this in. Whenever she talked about Capricorn Clark, she says, Capricorn Clark, if you believe her story, that's what she kept saying, if you believe her, said that for 5 days straight, she went to go have a lie detector test. But she volunteered to go do the lie detector test. They didn't pull out no gun and put it to her head and say, get in the car, you going to do this lie detector test. She could have chose not to go. But Capricorn Clark went to do the lie detector test because she wanted to keep her job, which is negates the forced labor joint. Which negates the forced labor.
I hear you, baby. I hear you.
There was no evidence of physical restraint. And while she was going to do these lie detector tests for the 5 days, there was no interaction with Puffy. Puffy maybe didn't even know this occurred at all. It wasn't without her consent. She was willing to go every day, and she went all 5 days. So the kidnapping joint for Capricorn Clark, Alexandra Shapiro said, get that up out of here. Cassie, under direct examination, talked about Puffy made her stay at the London hotel, right? There was no force or fear, no consent. There was no evidence that a weapon was used. She was not held at gunpoint at the London hotel. And Cassie testified on the stand that she actually wanted to leave the hotel and go to Puffy's house and be with Puff. How could that be kidnapping? So you got to throw that joint out. You got to throw that joint out. You got to throw that out. You got to throw that out. Throw that out. Now let's talk about the arson joint.
Yeah, the arson.
Let's talk about the arson joint, which is another key to the RICO. Alexandra Shapiro dismembered this RICO case. She chopped it up into pieces. Kid Cudi, for the arson, there's no evidence, no Capricorn Clark, no Cassie, no Kid Cudi. Kid Cudi was operating off of pure speculation, no evidence. Female DNA found at Kid Cudi's house. No video footage, no photos, no eyewitness, no nothing that Puffy was there. Throw the arson out. SEX trafficking. SEX trafficking. Now, in order for, they kept using this term mens rea, MENSREA. I think that has to do something with intent. I don't know. Let me look it up. Hold up. So I know what I'm talking about.
Let me look it up.
I gotta know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Mine. In criminal law.
My bad. I thought it was gonna take him a little while.
Mens rea is a Latin term meaning guilty mind. In criminal law, it refers to the mental state a person must have while committing a crime for them to be held legally responsible. Essentially, it's just about what someone does, but also about their intent or mental state. So, the SEX trafficking, Alexandra Shapiro says that Puffy didn't have the criminal intent. He never knew or never thought of what he was doing with Puffy never knew that he was coercing her. Well, he would have had known that he was coercing her, right? He would have had to have mental intent that he was trafficking her. He didn't have that. That was his lady, or that was one of his ladies. In the text messages, Alexandra Shapiro says, in none of the text messages of Cassie does it show that she wasn't a willing participant. Alexandra Shapiro, domestic violence does not equal SEX trafficking. Because you saw the video of Puffy assaulting Cassie, just because you saw that and it's morally reprehensible and it's a bad thing, that don't mean because he did that he's automatically guilty of SEX trafficking. Also, the video at the Intercontinental Hotel where Puffy assaults Cassie, this was after they had already did a freak off, right? Same thing with Jane Doe. Jane Doe was a willing participant in everything. Jane Doe participated in the SEX with Puffy for the financial reasons, for the gifts, for the support, right? And to make him happy. No violence in Jane Doe's relationship with Puff for 3 years. No fraud, no false promises. Now, the prosecution is gonna try to insert fraud into the SEX trafficking for Jane, that it was fraud because Puffy told her, because Puffy was taking other honeys to Turks and Caicos. He was taking other honeys, giving them bigger flowers than her, better gifts than her, and he was telling her, I'm gonna take you on my yacht, I'm gonna take you on my plane, but he never did. Alexandra Shapiro stated that This happens in everyday relationships, in everyday marriages. The wife says to the husband, oh, I'm gonna take you out to eat here, I'm gonna take you there, but never do it. The husband say, yo, I'm gonna lease you a new car, I'm gonna buy you a bag or whatever, and never do it. Is it not fraud to the average citizen, but it's fraud for Puff? You understand? And Jane Doe was always jealous, you understand, of young Miami.
Oh, I thought something was going to hit him.
Listen, you can't mention young Miami around Jane Doe because she'll start shooting. Whenever you mention young Miami and young Miami's flowers bigger than hers, young Miami was on the plane, he bought young Miami a Maybach, he bought young Miami, took her on Turks and Caicos, put young Miami on the yacht, young Miami was able to post pictures of them two and put it on Instagram. But Puffy told Jane Doe, don't you never put nothing to me on your Instagram. So whenever you mention young Miami, you gotta watch out because Jane Doe will start shooting. Jane Doe will start shooting. So, because Puffy, you understand, Jane Doe was down here. Jane Doe is down here. Young Miami up here. Gina up here. Chelsea up here. All Puffy's other honeys is up here. Jane Doe down here.
Jane Doe
she
down
was
here.
Jealous. She was mad. You bought young Miami a Chanel bag, and you bought me a Bottega bag. Her bag better than my bag. Her bag better than my bag. You bought me just a diamond bracelet. You bought young Miami a diamond necklace and a diamond bracelet. Her gift better than my gift. I'm mad. Her bag better than my bag. She went on the yacht. I didn't go on the yacht. Her trip on the yacht better than my trip on the yacht. Jane Doe, you understand? So that's the argument that the government is gonna try to make as far as fraud. Like he told her, I'm gonna take you here, I'm gonna take you there, and didn't do it. Get your ass up out of here. That ain't no fraud. That ain't no fraud. In all relationships, promises are made and not fulfilled. This is not fraud. The prosecution is relying on Jane's subjective thoughts and feelings. That's how she felt, that she got frauded out. You ain't get frauded out. You just wasn't as good as young Miami. Now, here go the dope part. The Mann Act and the SEX prostitution. Alexandra Shapiro. There is no evidence that escorts were paid for prostitution, but only for their time. The Punisher, Sheree Hayes, and the other dude, Daniel Phillip, testified on the stand that they were not prostitutes. The male escorts were hired from a company that pays them. Puffy and Cassie and Puffy and Jane Doe pay the company, and then the escort comes for their entertainment and time, not for the sex. And that is how she dealt with the Mann Act. And after she said that, she said, I ask that the case be dismissed on the grounds of insufficient evidence by the prosecution to find Puffy guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
My man, that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. shit.
It must be hotter than 100 hamburgers out there, baby. Cause it's hot as I don't know what out there. And
After
I'm in
that
DC.
was over,
okay.
then the defense, I think this was Tenny Garagos. She got up there. Tenny Garagos put up all of these text messages from Cassie expressing how much she loves Puff, all the way from 2008 to 2017. I love you. You mean the world to me. I never want to lose you. I want you in my life forever. All of these text messages to undermine the premise and the predicate act that he, SEX, trafficked them, that it was force or coercion. None of that. None of that. And the jury is right there hearing it. It's crazy. Y'all will never understand. You guys, People's Kitchen, what up? Thank you for that super chat. Y'all will never understand the aura and the energy and the overflow when Tenny Garagos and Alexandra Shapiro are putting on this display of destroying the prosecution's case. The mood, the energy, the anxiety, the tension in the overflow is palpable. You could feel it because all of the fake mainstream media reporters are hearing it right in their face. That like, yo, I'm hearing Cassie and Jane Doe saying how much they love this man, how much they love doing freak-offs. I can't wait to do a freak-off. Cassie testified, I just went and bought a bottle of baby oil because I had to, because I miss you. I miss you, baby. Where you at? I'm so horny for you. Send me a dick pic. This is both of them. And the reporters in the overflow with me, you understand, they know they're listening to evidence from Alexandra Shapiro and Tenny Garagos and Puffy's defense team that this Rule 29 motion should be stamped approved, but they gotta go outside and go to their mainstream media and tell a different story and a lie about what they heard. And everybody is sitting there like, this guy is not guilty. This is not. Everybody's sitting there. But y'all can't see that part because y'all way over there, wherever you at. I'm in the courtroom. I'm seeing these people. I'm watching these people. And if they not coming out, if Piers Morgan and TMZ and ABC and CBS and CNN and Nancy Grace, Fox News, BBC, if they not reporting what I'm telling you, they doing selective journalism. They only reporting fake news. I'm telling you, man, we all in there together, or they in there with me, because I'm the best. My journalism up here. My journalism up here. They journalism down here. I'm elite level. I'm elite level. I'm elite level journalism. I'm elite level. I give it to you. I give it to you straight. I give it to you straight. Crazy, man. Crazy, man. And the judge is hearing this. The judge and the jury is hearing this. And the judge should be like, Judge Submarinian should be like, man, what am I doing here, man? What are we doing here? A lot of the people that I talk to when we take breaks on the 24th floor, they come out, they be like, yo, Sean, why are we even here? Tenny Garagos went on and talked about Daniel Phillip, which is a male escort. I think this was the first dude that got on the stand at the beginning. This was the first dude. So Daniel Phillip is doing the raccoon. It's doing the raccoon with Cassie. He doing the raccoon. Puffy right here watching. Put the raccoon in there. The male escort, Daniel Phillip, doing the raccoon with Cassie.
The
Puffy
raccoon
is watching, right? Puffy interrupts. Puffy stops him. He said, yo. He tell Daniel Phillip, yo, get up and go sit on the couch and watch me have sex with Cassie now. And Daniel Phillips got up, went and sat on the couch. And this was in the notes of the federal agents when they met with Daniel Phillips. The feds, the same U.S. attorneys, agents called him in, and while they were meeting with him, they were taking notes, and this is the story that he told the feds. He was doing the raccoon with Cassie, and then Puffy said, yo, get up, get off her, and sit on the couch, and watch me hit it. Watch me do the raccoon with her. He got up, went and sat on the couch, and watched Puffy do the raccoon with Cassie, and he got jealous. He had feelings for Cassie. The male entertainer testified to the government he got jealous. When he saw Puffy hitting it, he got jealous.
He got jealous.
He got jealous when he saw Puffy hitting it. Got jealous. Yo, I need 1,000 thumbs up. I got 527. I need 1,000 thumbs up. Tenny Garagos went on to the next witness, Capricorn Clark. Capricorn Clark met with the federal prosecutors, the assistant U.S. attorneys, other agents, and at that meeting, they were taking notes. She met, Capricorn Clark met with the feds 13 times. 13. She met with them 13 times. Capricorn Clark met with the feds 13 times, and at no point in them 13 times did she mention anything about Laura London. But when she got on the stand 3 weeks ago, she brought up Laura London, that she was on the phone with Laura London, Kid Cudi, and Cassie, and that Puffy was in Kid Cudi's house. But when she met with the feds, she never said that. 13 times. 13. She met with him 13 times. This is the reasonable doubt. This is the reasonable doubt that the prosecution is saying they got. Check me out. Check me out. Tenny Garagos, the next witness, the Punisher, Sheree Hayes, the Punisher. The dude,
Punisher.
He got the pump. He got a Joinski joint implant. He got a Joinski joint implant. His Joinski joint don't work right. So he had an operation to put some kind of mechanical robotic thing in his joint, and he gotta pump it up to get his joint like that. I ain't gotta do that. I ain't got no erectile dysfunction. Because
you said that 5 times,
I do calisthenics 7 days a week. So
yeah,
his Joinski joint don't work. He had erectile dysfunction. he met with the feds too. The same assistant U.S. attorneys was there. He told the feds when he met with them, I had feelings for Cassie. Daniel Phillip, the other male escort, he liked Cassie. Then this nigga, he liked Cassie. Everybody liked Cassie. Yo, Cassie must have some good kitty cat boy, cause them niggas be falling in love, including Puffy. Puff was in love too. Yes, he was.
Including Puffy. Yes, he was.
Yes, he was. I don't need no kitty cat like that. If it's gonna have me acting like that, you keep that kitty cat. Mia, what's up? What's up, baby? I see you, man. My man. All right. Mia. Listen, I need a sidebar. Sidebar. It came out in court that Mia met with the feds. She met with those assistant U.S. attorneys, federal agents. At that meeting, they were taking notes. In the testimony in court, it came out under Brian Steele that she met with them 27 times. That was incorrect. She met with them, Mia met with them 31 times. Mia met with the prosecutors and the feds 31 times before the trial. 31, man. 31, man. Come on, man. Chill, man. Come on, man. 31. Brian Steele asked her under cross-examination, Mia, why did you meet with prosecutors 27 times? Mia, on the stand, under oath, said, so that we can understand my story. Got it, man. You ever been down south? You ever be down south? And them old down south, them old black people from down south, they say something, you say something that's unbelievable. They say, gato, mighty nose. Hato, mighty nose. 31 times. 31. Times. Hello? Take me off your call list, please. Please take me off your call list. Thank you.
That's a waste of time. I got tired of telling them that. I just hang up on them.
Brianna Boglin.
Or play with them.
Hey, George, thank you for that super chat. Hey, Brianna Boglin, the girl that committed perjury. Brianna Boglin that committed perjury in Judge Submarinian's face, in Judge Submarinian's courtroom, disrespected Judge Submarinian, disrespected the Constitution, disrespected federal law, committed perjury. The federal prosecutors knew she was committing perjury, but let it go anyway. You understand? She met with them, I don't know how many goddamn times she met with them, but whenever she met with them, she never mentioned that at the photo shoot, Puffy told her, I could kill you. But when she got on the stand, she said Puffy told her he was gonna kill her. Beyond reasonable doubt.
Why would they get up there and lie though?
Beyond reasonable doubt.
That's all you need is reasonable doubt. All right.
After that, after Tenny Garagos, shout out to everybody giving me super chats. The Solo 123 TV. 814 RCC Cross, and still couldn't get it right. They still couldn't get it right because the truth is the truth. No lie can live forever. You still couldn't get your story right. After that, Tenny Garagos said the defense rests. The defense has rested. How you doing? You want to say what's up to my people on YouTube? You sure? All right. You probably just wanted to come over here and see me.
Look at those
The defense rested. The prosecution rested. There's no court tomorrow. Judge Submaranian said that he got to take some time and look over this Rule 29 motion. But to me, and even to him, and even to the prosecutors, to the defense team, to all the press, everybody in the overflow, everybody in main room, courtroom 26, Rule 29 motion is a no-brainer. The prosecution has failed to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt, and Puffy should be acquitted and allowed to go home tomorrow. Should be allowed to go home tomorrow. That's where we at. Ain't no court tomorrow. We come back on Thursday, and the prosecution is going to do their closing argument, and the defense is going to do their closing argument, and then we're going to be done. They're going to give it to the jury. In my opinion, and y'all know where I stand with this, a more seasoned judge, not saying Judge Submaranian is not a smart man, not saying that he's not qualified to be a federal judge, not saying that he doesn't have the aptitude or the intelligence quotient to be a federal judge. He's got all of that, but he's just not seasoned enough. This case is over his head. This case should have been given to an elite level judge with elite experience, not to some neophyte, 2-year on the bench beginner. Judge Submaranian, you are a beginner. You are not qualified experience-wise to handle this kind of case. If this was given to a more seasoned judge, Brianna Bogelin would have been brought up on perjury charges already, and the Rule 29 motion would be instituted, and we would go home. Juror number 6 would have never got through off the jury, and this would be a whole different case. How you doing? You checking out my video? You want to say what's up to my people on YouTube? Come here. You want to say hi? Check her out, y'all. Check my girl out. How you doing? What's your name?
Sandra.
Yo, this is Sandra.
Sandra Spicer.
Sandra Spicer?
Yes.
What country you from?
El Salvador.
El Salvador. Shout out to El Salvador. You work down here?
No, I try to work, but something wrong with the system to the United States. They broke the law. So it's a lot of
red tape.
People.
Who broke the law?
Oh man.
How long you been here? How long you been in America? All of it. Tengo buen día. All right. So that's it. That's it.
That's it, man. I got to roll anyway. I got to roll. That's it, man. He bring the real, or he bring it on both sides, man. Beyond a reasonable doubt, they banking on that, man. And I'm gonna let y'all know, to be honest, these juries, the jurors, they ain't into the law like that. They gonna be looking at him like, man, I don't know if they proved that. Man, he guilty on something. We gotta put him in jail, man. The world gonna flip upside down. That's crazy, man. I don't know, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not a full flush like a lot of these YouTubers are saying that it's a freaking full flush. I think that I wasn't there to see and hear every word and get a real feeling. I tried to go up there, but it was nowhere near like I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be all eyes on this joint. Golly, man. I mean, I really thought... Shoot. Anyway, I'm going to get on up out of here. Y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.